Premiere.
Premiere.
I was shocked at how much I liked the premiere, but even with this episode, first of all, they went on my dream date this episode. You know that.
Fair. Disneyland.
But also the men that they picked, for the most part, have been so vulnerable. Even coming, like, they're not all, oh, we're all widows and we can't, like, they, even in men who, they're divorced but they're family oriented, they just they have zest for life. They came on here and I'm just like, wow, I really want to know more about them. Wow, they're really more than just being handsome, beautiful older men.
Yeah, they definitely were all handsome, beautiful. I liked a lot of their stories. The first episode, I remember getting a little teared up when I see all their children sending them messages of hope. And so, on a whole, I really like the concept of seeing people at this age demographic find love or just like interacting. But for me, I don't know if I vibe with this version. Like, I watch it, I'm enjoying it, but I'm kind of like, I'm trying to figure out what it is. And I think it may be that I'm not
Into Joan?
as big a fan of Joan as I thought I'd be. I think. Now, how I was trying to figure out, like, what is it? And maybe I don't feel from her. Like, I feel like, do you know, like, if you watch something on like a little bit faster speed? And you don't really hear people's emotions that much when they're talking because it's just kind of short and, kind of talking like this and really just like, yeah, oh, I really like that. Oh, that was really sweet how you did that. And I feel like how she kind of interacts with the men is a little bit more matter of fact. And with that matter of factness, I'm not feeling the connections. And so I like the men. I thought I'd like Joe. Like, I do like her. I mean, I don't dislike anybody, of course. But as the Bachelorette, I'm not sure if, for me, she's doing it.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I can maybe see that. Welcome, Dabu. Welcome. I can maybe see that. I do think she isn't. I don't want to say, she's very down to earth, very just straight. She's very straight. She's not necessarily homey, even though she's very, like,
family oriented. Yeah.
Family oriented. Like, I feel like Teresa was a little more homey than Joan.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
And I guess when she says, like, oh, I just want to find someone to have fun with, I don't feel like I look to her as fun. You know what I mean? Like, I just, like, you know what I mean? Something is just not clicking.
I was surprised at that too. I do think that her personality came off in the last show that she was a little more, welcome, Miss T Joy. She was a little more serious.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, ladies.
How are you?
Good. How are y'all?
Good.
Pretty good. I'm just telling everyone here that I may not be the biggest fan of Joan as the Bachelorette.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not finding
like her personality was better on the on the Bachelor.
She was just a little bit maybe flirtier, or like, and it could be because she's pursuing, and so it's just maybe seeing a different side of her, and like she was maybe was vulnerable when she was sharing her talent for the talent show, and like I did like their interactions more than I've liked her interactions with some of these men this season, and I just kind of find that she's just not as open and warm as I was expecting her to be. It could just be because I had expectations and she hasn't met them. And maybe if I hadn't seen her on the other season, I would just be like, oh, wow, this is amazing. But I just have something to compare to.
Now, would you have rathered Leslie?
I think I would have, actually.
Really?
Well, and it could be because I got to know Leslie a little bit more. And so, there was some issues that I definitely had with Leslie, for sure. Like, I wasn't sure if she was actually healed enough to be the Bachelorette, and I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy her journey because of that. Right. But I do feel like she offers a vulnerability and an openness that would allow for the attraction. And I think I just would be able to see it. I don't see the sparks with Joan and these men. I feel like it's kind of business interview vibes, and it just doesn't seem like a love connection.
Okay.
It does seem more like a friendship right now. It does seem like more of a friendship right
now.
Do
we think she's more of a slow burner with a lot of these men? Debu points out something here. The problem with Joan is she did go home early, so not really invested in her story last season. I'm going to tell you, I was way more happy to find out Joan was the Bachelorette.
I agree. At the time, I did, but I'm curious if now, if maybe buyer's remorse. Sorry, I mean she's lovely, but I don't know if she'll actually find love.
Says Leslie, another Pisces lead. No.
I mean, I agree, Dabu. Like, I do agree with all of this, but I need a little bit more love, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. So I do feel like I can absolutely see what you're saying. From the outside looking in, I am enjoying this season. Miss T Joy is what I said before you hopped in. They had my dream date this week. Chantel did point out she was surprised at how much Joan was saying she was looking for someone to have fun with, because that's not the vibe that she was getting. And I did understand. I was a little surprised that was her thing too. And I was also surprised at who she chose for that one-on-one date as well. But I am wondering. Yeah, I am wondering if it's not necessarily that she is being business interviewee like with these men, but the show is basically editing it this way, because he would not have been the person I thought she was going on this one-on-one date.
Well, I don't even think that I would have given I can't remember who it is right now who got the first impression rose. I didn't think that. So I don't also get her.
Oh no, Keith is who I thought she was very attracted to episode 1. Like that, I thought was clear. This I thought with Chalk, I was like, oh, he seems cool, but I don't see anything there, right? And then, so
like the Mickey and Minnie years, I was
surprised. And then when they were like, oh, you might be going home during the day, I was like, oh, he's going home during the day. during the other season of the Golden Bachelor, I don't remember them making that stipulation that you would have to go home. They're like making it
on the one-on-one day. It's always that if you don't get the rose, you go home.
But I felt like Jesse was like really beating it
because they're older and they don't understand. They don't. That's why Pascal was like, "Can you repeat?" Like, because they don't understand the show, so they like, "Huh?" I thought that's why he emphasized it.
I agree, Dabu. I was a little surprised as well. Like, so if you're looking for fun, Jack is fun.
You want somebody that want to have fun with her, Dabu, not just want to have fun with everybody, or want to have fun with the man.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Jack's not my type, but Jack is fun.
Jack is fun. So let's get started. Then we'll talk through the rest, but. So we see a preview of Joan, and it looks like she's on a date with Mark. And if you missed my first recap with Miss T Joy, Mark is Kelsey, yes, Kelsey's father. And on this date, he reads a card in a different language. We did not know what language at the time. Well, I did not know what language at the time, and that she's supposed to translate. And she thinks it means, will she cuddle with him? And he is asking, will she kiss him? And she says, yes. And she's like, you could have asked that in English. And they do kiss, right? So so I thought maybe he was getting the one date.
Me too.
Yeah, and he said, oh, this is more funner, which I thought was kind of cute.
It was German, yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought he was going to get the one date, because I personally, while I do think they vibe, I think they're setting him up to be the next Bachelor.
Absolutely. And that's another thing too, is that like he's really smooth and like he has the lines and he's so handsome, but I don't see their vibe, and I'm like, I just want to see some of these vibes, and I'm not getting it yet.
Yeah. So I was just like, so he's probably getting like a 101, because usually the first date, they almost never end up getting the final rose, right? So it was like, oh, he'll be like the Aaron to Charity, where he'll get the first date, he'll go very far. Great story. We could see him as the next, potential bachelor, unless he messes it up somehow, and that was it. But that is not what happened here. So we return to the bachelor mansion, and it's the next morning. The men are cheersing to 401ks and Medicare and to Joan.
The group's fun.
This is a fun group of men, and I do think maybe that is possibly also the issue. She has a good, fun, lighthearted, sweet group of men, and they might be a bit outshining her.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do see Gary, who I love. We find out later she gives them all little nicknames. So his is Goldie, which I think is cute. It says that how great it is to have received a rose from Joan the night before. And then the men explore the mansion because, they're moving in. And again, these producers with the stupid bunk beds. And so we see them, and they're not arguing, but they're trying to discuss, okay, who's going to sleep on the top bunks and who can, because
go to the bathroom more frequently.
Exactly. So knees and bathroom issues are the big topic again this season, and I implore, I don't know if they do this.
I just don't understand why they just can't have single beds. It's stupid. It's stupid.
I think it's the gag.
I mean, because somebody really can get hurt. Like, all joking aside, somebody really can get hurt in the middle of the night in an unfamiliar place trying to get down and go to the bathroom and not be able to see. Like, they could have just had all single bed, like lower beds, right?
Oh, Jesus God. And I agree with Chantel. I think it's for the gag, but I'm over the gag.
I don't want to get hurt. And I wonder if they are getting chairs yet at the rose ceremonies. Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
So we see Charles L. notes that he might be the oldest.
He's so
I do too. I love him so much. Well, he might be the oldest health-wise. He is the overall. And so he does volunteer for the top bunk, and he tests it out. And he is the cutest little man. I swear to gosh. Mm-hmm. And then we see Pascal, Mr. French hairdresser.
I'm above this. I'm not used to this. I'm above this. I don't do my own laundry. I don't do this. I don't do. I sleep naked. I don't do this. What is this?
He is bougie. The man is like, he sleeps naked, and he doesn't. I mean, he admits it. I will say that. But I'm just like, guy.
Listen, can you adjust? Can you put on a little? What do you call those little bath wraps at night or something when you go in the bathroom, so you don't feel like you're constricted, but just so when you get up, because why do we have to
wait, is he on the top bunk, climbing down the top bunk naked in the middle of the night?
I think he
No, he has that single bed. He has that single bed because he sleeps naked over in the corner.
Yeah.
Does it share a bed with someone?
Oh my God. But yeah.
I mean, I think that he's probably playing up a little bit his bouginess. I mean, he probably is. But the fact that he's like paying somebody to do his laundry and iron for him, I think it's also for the gag. It's for the plot, you know.
It has Greg. So Greg is the one doing his laundry for him, and we find out later that Greg snores, and he's like, "I love the man. He does all my laundry."
But why he punched that man in the middle of him sleeping? Because he's snoring. What is going on?
Oh my God, I can't. These men, So we do see Jesse arrive, and he talks to Kim about being a military man and how he could give these men some tips or two about, living with a bunch of men all at once. And Kim talks about how, among things, keep a bedpan around.
Oh God.
Kim also says that was 30-some years ago. Now I don't got past that. Like I didn't expect to be doing that again myself. Like, what you want?
Right. Jesse congratulates Keith on getting the first impression rose of the series, and the men do cheers him. And so Jesse describes the week ahead, which is 3 dates, 2 fun group dates, and 1 magical one-on-one date. And there will be 1 rose at each group date and 1 rose at the one-on-one date. But if you do not get your rose at the one-on-one date, you will be eliminated. Charles says, "Can you repeat?" He says, "Yes." Can you repeat? So we do see, like, he does have to repeat the sequence of events and what it means for the men. They are older men, and they didn't catch everything, and so he does listen, whatever you guys need. He does outline the instructions again for the men. And we do see the very first date card arrives, and on this is the first group date, and it is Gary, Bob, Jonathan, Charles L., Mark, Jordan, Guy, and Keith. And somebody says, "Oh, this is a fun group," and I agreed. That was a fun group. And it says, from Joan, "I have a question for you. Go to the other room and find out what it is." And what it is we see a sign that says, "Will you go to prom with me?" And it's set up in a room full of suits, and the suits are velvet and paisley and ruffled and flower. And the men, they got excited. They're like reminiscing about going to prom or not going to prom, because we do find out that some of them did not actually get to go to their proms back in the day. And so we see Jonathan, who that man is so handsome.
Hold on, I gotta remember what Jonathan looks like.
The Native American. He's like the one.
No. Oh my gosh.
Prom king.
Oh my God, I would date him now.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what when I say that was handsome, I would date him now. Him and Christopher. I would date them both now.
Let me see Christopher.
Let me see if I pull it up.
Oh, but he's not there anymore, is he? I don't remember.
He gets eliminated this episode.
Oh, okay.
Christopher, okay. I'm going to put, if you want to share, let me share the screen. Share my screen. I can show you Christopher.
There we go. Yes, him.
Oh, yeah. The one that was grilling. The one that
was grilling. Yes. Handsome man.
Is that why? Because the way to your heart is through your stomach.
No, that was, I love a beard too. Y'all know I love a beard. I know y'all are not as convinced as I am. About
he's bald, the salt and pepper beard. Like, give me all of that. All of that.
So the Taurus is there for the food, and the Virgo's there for the aesthetics.
Yes.
But yeah, so Jonathan is told, he picks out a pink paisley suit, and he's like, "Should I wear a shirt?" And they're like, "No." And so he goes shirtless
with the bow tie and no shirt. I'm like, okay, with the pink. I love to see men in pink.
Yes. Pink paisley suit. And so we do find out from him he has never got to go to his prom. And Joan arrives, and I didn't care for her dress. It was a off-white or beige, just tulle. Like tulle, but it was just like
a short skirt, but then
skirt
on the sides. I thought she could have done better than that.
Yeah.
Even if she was going for something in the 80s, because she said she went to prom in 81, she still could have done better than that. I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
See, this is it. I think I need someone a little bit more extroverted, because I don't remember what she was wearing. Yeah. I think everybody else just kind of swallows her up. Like you're saying, like the men might have so much personality, and
right.
maybe it's not balanced enough. Maybe she's just not capable right now of carrying the season. And it could be because what Dabu's saying here, the fact that we don't know her that well. And so we didn't know Gary that well. And we were able to fall in pretty quickly.
Yes.
I don't know.
I agree.
I'm still trying to analyze what it is for me. So I'll keep on trying to figure it out.
Hey, I will say, if we could go through this season and not end up where we ended up with Gary.
I don't even know
why are they bringing him on for his bad advice?
Exactly.
Oh, we talked about it last week. Like, why? Why? We don't need him here.
Yours is an epic fail. Like, take your L and stay over there.
I would have rather them bring Teresa on.
Right.
Were they friends? I can't remember.
I can't even remember. But
she left so early. I don't think they had a problem with each other. She left so early though.
Yeah. But so we do see Jonah Rise. She does say she went to her prom in 1981. I was like, that was and she says to the guys, it was the first time that she got to wear a fancy dress. First time she got to kiss the guy. And she said probably for them, it was the first time that they got to wear a suit. And so she says, it's time for the senior prom, which I thought was a cute name. Mm-hmm. And Joan ITM said, going to prom with 8 men. She says the last time she couldn't even find one date. But she's nervous because this is a huge decision, like trying to find the time to see if all these men can fit into her life. But they get into a limo and they cheers and they sing. They're going to the prom. And then we see them have a mini camera in the limo and they make little messages. And Joan says that this takes her back to all the firsts of their younger life. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, we do see a lot of serious, kind of serious conversations. Not so much. The guys are a little more lighthearted in how they're approaching this, not necessarily Joan. But we arrived to a gym and Jesse's in the gym surrounded by people. I was actually shocked that there were people there. But I think it did make for a better environment. And they all cheers Joan and the men's arrival, and Jesse welcomes them to their first senior prom. And they says that there's lots of fun to be had. There's going to be dancing and drinking, which was probably happening during their own prom, and smooching maybe. And someone will become prom king who gets Joan's first group date rose. And so we do then see Jesse introduces Taylor Dane. I love Taylor Dane.
That was good. That was good. That was a nice. I was like, this is a singing act we actually know and can enjoy. Like, you know what I mean? Yes! Like, it was nice. I appreciated that. Like,
and she seems to be on like a bit of a reality TV tour because she was on The Masked Singer a couple seasons ago. Yeah. And she was on something else recently as a guest performer, but I cannot remember.
I can't remember it either because I did remember that, but I can't remember what it was. It was something very, very recent within the last couple months. I do remember that. I love Taylor Dane. I could listen to her album, her all hits album, Back and Front. Love her. So yes, I agree with C-Joy. Listen, finally a musical guest that we know and possibly love, and songs that we know.
Right. Hello.
And it's not because they have chosen older singers before. This is not about it being an older singer or not. It's about them choosing musical guests that people don't know.
Exactly.
So Jonathan is the first one on the dance floor since he never got to go to prom, and he shows all out, and then one by one the men all go on the floor, and that's what I'm saying. These are just such a fun, vibrant group of men. They just no fear. They're all just, even Charles L just shut out to the dance floor and made some moves.
So cute.
He's trying to get back out there. He's trying.
I was like, my heart really broke when he was just sitting by himself in the bleachers, and I'm like, he's such a sweet angel,
such a sweet man.
Like, you could tell he was just like taking it in.
I guess, but it's just like, by himself, just watching everything. Like,
I know.
I got teary-eyed for little Charles
because I think he's one of those people that can still just sit there and watch and still be enjoying it. Like, he didn't feel left out. He's so introverted. He was just like, oh, I like it over here. Like,
yeah, that's so me. You know, that's me. I'll sit and watch people have a good time, and I'm sitting there just.
And I'm like on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Let's start this dance party.
And so the dates continue, and there's games, and there's spiking the punch, and throwback photos that were so cute. And
oh, that was so cute. They were taking pictures in Polaroids and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
so cute. Jonathan, we see talk about. So we know he grew up in like Iowa or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he was the only student of color in his entire high school, and so he did ask a girl to prom. And a week before the prom, she changed her mind after saying yes, which is incredibly sad. I mean, and his story is not a story that, especially for back then,
right,
it was something that it's pretty typical. Even up until now. Yeah, I was going to say, even up until now, like, you know, if you've ever watched This Is Us, we saw something similar happen on an episode with Randall, who grew up in a white family in a white neighborhood, and he was one of the only Black men in his town high school, and he asked a white girl to prom, and she said yes because she did really like him, and her father made him uncomfortable, and they didn't even end up really going. And that was supposedly to portray, you know, they're our age, right? So they're in their 40s at that point of the show. So, this is a tale as old as time, basically, and continues to this day.
And it's like, when I see him, like, he's just so handsome to have had his heart broken in that way, and feeling so already having a life experience of feeling separate and different and ostracized potentially, and then thinking that, you know, you do have somebody that you get to go to prom with, like someone, she says yes, and you get to get excited about going and getting ready.
Yeah, and then no. And he says so he didn't get to go, and he wasn't one of the most wanted in his high school. And again, very, you know, we know so many people of color who have that story. Yeah. And it caused him really to collapse inward. And I will say, he grew up in Brooklyn, but then I moved to New Jersey. I grew up in a multicultural town. I moved my kids to another multicultural town. And sometimes people are like, oh, would you move? And I was like, yeah, if I move, it would be when my kids get older, because one thing I do appreciate about the town my children live in, while it is a suburb of New York, and they are in New Jersey, because there are many towns in New Jersey where it is predominantly white, and your kid could be their only person of color in their entire grade. My children will never have to experience that. In fact, for them, sometimes for the kids that grow up in this community, them moving out into like general public colleges and that stuff, where there are, you know, or, you know, primarily white colleges, that is a culture shock for our children, because they grew up in such a multicultural, diverse, not only just diverse in culture, but in diverse in religion, right? We're surrounded by many religions in this town. So it is sometimes a difficult transition for them going that way instead of the other way. Right. So he says, like, for him, it made him collapse. And so he does thank, Joan thanks him for telling her his experience. She's sorry that he went through that. You know, anybody would be, you know, heartbroken to have to go through that. But he thanks her for this experience because he feels like he never got to go to prom, and he's having such an amazing time. Right. And he's like, I'm 61 and went to prom, and my heart is healed. And Joan said, this prom is so much more fun because there is no insecurity. Right? They're all just open and free. And I do love that about watching their age group have these experiences. It does. I do keep telling people, once you get to like my age, you feel freer.
Yes,
there's not things you shake off and you don't care about. And so there's like that I talk to younger people about, and they're like, oh, but this, and I'm like, that doesn't matter. It does. Trust me. When you get to age, like you're 20 and 30, and I understand it matters, but it doesn't. I'm going to tell you the truth. It does not matter. I spent so many years worrying about that, and it did not matter. It still does not matter.
Actually, one thing that I think is funny, just to piggyback on this point, is so doing the cast review for the Traders Canada, and there's this one girl, we just see her picture, and I was assuming the whole cast is about 30 plus, right? Like it just seemed like it. And so we were saying like, oh, she's probably about 30, blah, 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 blah. And she got so upset. I don't know how old she actually is, but she got really upset that we said that she was 30. And I'm like, 30 is so young. Like when you get to 30, you're not gonna feel like you're so old and like you're so much, like you won't actually feel like that ever. As you get older, you still feel as young as you've ever felt, And so it was just really funny though, just to see how much like age matters so much when you're younger, 25. And it's like
I think for me it was always the opposite, because I was 30 getting 19, 20, and I'm pregnant, and people think I'm this young pregnant
little baby
like with young kids like that I had as a teenager, right? Like, so for me it was always the opposite. I'm like, wait, you think I'm 30? Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense for you, for sure.
And now even I still get carded, and I'm just, and somebody's like,
me too,
and I give them my card, and I laugh. I always laugh. Because I'm like, I find it so funny, and I hand them and they're like, I did not think that was your
I have been carded semi recently, and people are just like, it could feel uncomfortable. There's like,
I'm grown. I had to tell the boy I could probably be your mama. I'm grown.
So she does. One thing I do like about Joan, though, we're seeing, I don't know if it's the way that the producers have staged it, because I didn't feel like that was happening with last year with Gary. We know it definitely doesn't happen during regular season. She sits down one-on-one with each man. So maybe also really it is that too, because it is kind of like one ba-bum, 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 to get through all these men. But I do understand it, because I do feel like she genuinely wants to make sure that she talked to everyone.
She does. She wants to know them. That's why it was surprising when she was like, she wants somebody fun, because she doesn't come across as fun. She comes across like, I'm here for business. I'm here to find my person. So I want to get to know y'all so I can make the right decision. It's not about fun. Like, that's why it was weird for her to be like, I want somebody fun. I'm like, oh, that's what you want? Because it comes across like you want somebody just ready for love in the second phase of their life.
And to take care of you, right?
Is she a Capricorn?
Oh, I don't know.
Because Capricorns, she's giving Capricorn to me. Because
she is giving Earth sign. She is giving Earth sign.
So my stepmom, I think I've told this story before, but when, I don't know if she was dating my dad at the time or not, but she is that she would give people like a form to fill out, like before she dates them, just be like, can you complete this before I offer you any of my time?
January 11th, 1963.
Oh wow!
It's definitely Capricorn vibes.
That's Mary J. Blige's birthday.
Yeah. So we do see her talk to Bob about his like lesbian daughter, and how he's basically become the wayward home of all lesbian women, which I thought was so cute. Bob is also like, whoever gets Bob is gonna have because even from their little video that he got from his daughter and her partner was so cute. Like whoever Bob is gonna have like the best little life if they enter into that. So good luck to Bob on that. And we see Jordan. I also think Jordan, for a white guy, is very handsome.
Jordan, I gotta see what Jordan looks like again.
Yeah,
Jordan, pretty fly for a white guy.
And usually you don't hear about people in their 60s with the name Jordan either. You know, so I thought that was, you know.
Yes.
Jordan, though, I wish he talked a little bit more about how on earth he went on a date with Taylor.
I know.
He went on a date with Taylor Day just a few months ago.
Like, look at him flexing there, you know?
He was like, I was like, do you remember me? And she was like, oh, yeah. He was like, yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah, very cute. Definitely my type of white guy. So pepper hair, tall. Yes, very. And then we see Gary Goldie is Tina Turner's godson.
That was an interesting fact.
Interesting fact.
I feel like we knew that before, like in the preseason, but I definitely forgot about it.
I didn't know.
I could maybe I make, or maybe somebody. Yeah, I think somebody mentioned it on like their cast review.
Okay. And so we do see Gary and Joan take their conversation, and then they go and they dance, and we see that's when we see Charles L. observing the prom, and he says he never really experienced it. It was so different doing those types of things without his wife. And then we see Joan and Charles chat, and he talks about his wife passing away and how they never dated anybody. They literally dated each other. And that was it, and then got married, right? So he also never went to prom. And Joan just says that they, like many of them, they are in this crappy widows club where she is so appreciative, though, that Charles is being so open. I will say this about Charles. I am very surprised about how open he is. And so I do feel like that possibly he is ready for love, because he isn't holding anything in. He is being open to the entire experience. He wasn't just sitting down like, oh, this makes me so sad. And he was just taking everything in. And he says he did talk about being sad with his daughters, and they talked it out with him, and they said that he did need to move on. But he does say this is one of the first days that he has been so happy since his wife passed away.
That was so nice. I really like him.
Really
I want him to find someone to be happy. It's not Joan, but I want him to find someone and be happy.
No, they don't have the spark. They have great conversation, but they don't have the spark. I think Joan, it just also helps him be very open. And we were trying to figure out what bachelor mom would be good for him, but we can't figure out one yet. But it's not Joan, but I do hope somebody is able to, as we say, hook him up with somebody.
Remember we said Susan and Jack should get together.
Susan and Jack would be perfect together. Susan and Jack would be perfect together. I hope
Jack's like very handsome in his photo.
Yeah, no, listen, I think Susan would love Jack's vibe.
They would have cook-offs and be drinking wine and cooking. Like she would cook for him. Sometimes he would cook for her. Mm-hmm. They would be out by the pool. They would be vacationing. Nice and sexy. They would have a good time.
Good time together. Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody needs to give Susan Jack's number. And so he then says that it is time for him to move forward, and they play a game, and he calls his daughter Sophia and tells her what he's doing, and she says how happy he sounds, and she tells him, well, she wants to see him out on the dance floor. And so we do see him indeed dance with Joan. Just love it. I love him. I don't know if he'd be able to carry a Bachelor season. That's the only other thing. So that's the only reason why I'm like, I don't know about him being the Bachelor, but I love him. I need somebody to hook him up.
They need to have like what do you call it? Golden Bachelor in Paradise.
Well, people are hoping that there's going to be a mix at Bachelor in Paradise next year. Like it'll be all like Joey's girls and Charity's guys, and both Golden Bachelor and Bachelorettes, men and women. It could be kind of fun.
Baby, those older people would be like, if y'all don't get some air conditioning in here,
I was gonna say they can't.
They would be like, this is too hot.
No, they gotta leave them in the hotel though. Like,
yeah, it would be so. They would not be able to make it out there. It would be.
Well, maybe their part would be kind of like how they did the Casa More vibe, where they were in the hotel and like so.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be good.
Paradise Hotel, like it can't be the Palapas. These poor men and women will be like fainting from the heat.
Fainting. You hear me? Fainting.
But I would watch.
And then I can hear one of those ladies or men saying that I can't keep walking in this sand now. What's going on with the sand? I can't keep doing this. Y'all don't have nothing else. Y'all just serving these potatoes every morning. What is? I need something else. Yeah. Where's the avocado toast? They would not be
able. In Mexico, no. So back at the Bachelor Mansion, we do see a date card arrive, and we see Chalk meet me at the happiest place on earth, and then do the things I do.
That's my type.
My dream date.
It's your dream date for sure, but it's definitely my type of date. I love an amusement park. I love rides. I love games. Everything about it is just fun. You want to have a good time, you go to an amusement park.
Yes.
It's amusing.
Oh my gosh. So he gets excited. He's like, sorry guys. I wish you all could go. They're like, no, you don't. He's like, yeah, no, I don't. And actually, that was also the first time we actually saw the personality on Chuck. Because again, he came in. He's like, I'm very oriented, and my daughters, and this and that. And I was like, okay, yeah, we're like, what does that mean? Like, okay, so you're just serious, like. And so I kind of understood what she was saying, where she said she wasn't sure if he could have fun, but I also, like you said, Miss T. Joy, was fun a requirement? We were. Right. Dabu says I choose Jonathan as the Golden Bachelorette. If it isn't obviously Kelsey, I agree.
Mm-hmm. I think Jonathan, we know what it is.
Full package. Well, I mean, it's still possible that Joe.
Oh my God, him as the Golden Bachelor. I would maybe apply. Because how old is he?
They would not cast you. They'd be like, no, we gonna start something.
We might be too young.
Yes. They're not going to cast anybody under like 58. They're not going to do that.
I mean, I'm not that much. I'm a little bit older than both of you.
No, you're not. Are you?
I'm born 79.
And we're born 80. So 1 year.
I mean, 16, 50. Wait. I'd be 46 when it would be airing potentially, and he'd be. It's not too bad.
No, you would not. No, they're not going to. For a 62-year-old man, they're not going to cast.
What is the casting? They're casting now. So what does the casting now say?
I would imagine it would say 45 to 70. No.
Let's see, because they said during the show I saw a ad for casting. Right, so here we go, and it says doesn't say any age. There's literally no age on this.
Okay.
There's no.
They're not going to cast because it's going to look too much like you're going to get a sugar daddy. That's what it's going to look like. Two people. That's not what you're doing. But if they don't cast him and they cast like Kelsey's dad or somebody who's 65 and you're 45, that's a 20-year difference. They're going to think you're trying to get a sugar daddy. I'm just telling you what it's going to look like. They're not going to cast him like 45. They're not going to do it.
I'm thinking though, they had a decent, like with Gary, he was 71, and there was people there that were like in their 50s.
58 was the youngest person.
How do you have that number right under your tongue like that? How do you know? How do you remember this?
Okay,
13 years though. 13 years is pretty close to 16 years.
apply and let's see what happens.
If it was Jonathan, I would apply.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. If they
Kelsey's
apply, let's see what happens.
Kelsey's dad, he's handsome, but he's not for me.
And the thing is with Jonathan, he still has young children.
Yeah,
like that was, remember, that was our concern, because we're like, I don't know if Joe, like, he's,
that's what I was saying. They're not gonna. She got her grandkids, but she's not trying to raise nobody's kids. You know, so I didn't think, and that means that he wants to stay in Iowa because he's such an active father. Yeah. He's going to want to be there, and Joan don't want to move to Iowa.
I don't think she does. So I mean, maybe someone younger for Jonathan would be, you know, still.
Are you gonna go to Iowa, Chantel?
I mean,
because you can slide in his DMs. We don't really need that. Like, if you really about it, you can just slide in his DMs.
I mean, I've never been to Iowa. How would I like it?
I don't know.
The name itself sounds like I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so it probably has the kind of weather you're used to.
Yes,
right? The kind of weather you're used to. It's that kind of weather, but there's nothing to do there.
Yeah. You would want to travel a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. What time zone is it?
I think it's very similar to your
Central.
time.
I think Central, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, 1 hour behind you.
So yeah, so back to prom. Bessie asked Joan to come on stage, and it's time to announce who's going to be prom king and who gets the group date rose. And Jonathan is announced prom king and gets the group date rose. And Taylor Dane sings "Love Will Lead You Back," and it's just one of my favorites. And they dance, and he talks about that he had a hole in his heart because of his prior experience, but it's been patched with this experience.
And I think that was beautiful, but I think she chose him for that reason, to heal his heart. I don't think it was the chemistry.
Well, I mean, she did say that he's handsome and sweet, and she did feel special in his arms. Now, this is my thing. We know that Joan's keyword is not special. It is safe.
Safe and protect.
So if we don't hear those words,
right,
we're like, okay, he's not there yet. He's not there yet. So
I don't know if I see Joan swirling.
No. Listen, she like go Christopher, and I was like, oh yeah, no.
Like, if she wants some fun, you might want a little swirl. Just saying.
Thank you.
So the next day, back at the mansion, the men are enjoying the pool and taking naps, and Greg is a huge snorer, and that's when he found out that Pascal punched him, and yeah, it got bad. But the men had to take naps because they were so tired from all the snoring.
That was so funny to me. They were like, let's go take a nap.
And we do see Chalk getting ready for his date, and he says the happiest place on earth has to be Disneyland, and it is. So we do see Joan arrive on the Disneyland Railroad on Main Street with 2 Disney ears, one for herself with a bow and one regular Mickey ears for Chalk, and he puts the ears on Chalk, and they meet and take photos with Mickey and Minnie. And we do see Joan ITM that with Chalk, he's a fantastic guy. They have a lot of the same values that are important to her, family oriented, but he's very serious. And she wasn't sure if he could let loose and have fun. And she does want a guy.
Why does she think she comes across as fun?
Listen, I would agree with you guys. I was shocked because I was like, fun was a requirement. I didn't know. So they do walk down Main Street and they talk, and she talked about her first time in Disney with her parents, like in 1970 something when it first opened up. And they talk about how they like to vacation and where. So they talk about Bahamas and Florida. And then they ride one of my favorite rides, the double ride. and he marvels about Joan's personality. And they're talking, and she's like, "Well, what's the last ride you went on?" He said, "I went on a helicopter ride." So that's not the same thing there.
Helicopters are actually kind of scary, though. Like
that's what I'm saying. That's work. That's what I'm saying. I would do the double run. I would never.
He was talking about in the amusement park, sir.
We're talking about on the something is bolted down in between.
Hello.
No,
oh God, you're making me want to go on a ride now. I want to go to an amusement park.
No,
do they have amusement parks in Iowa?
They probably do. I just don't know.
It's going to the cornfield if they do.
Like a corn maze. Okay, that could be fun.
And they find out that they have a lot more in common than just like their family and their family orientation. They eat snacks. They go to Star Wars Land and they meet R2-D2. And yes, this is a ultimate Disney ad. I don't care. This is my dream date, guys. If you want a way to my heart, book this as our first.
Let me tell you something. My cousin was so pressed to go to the Star Trek. We're at Disney. I'm like, okay. Okay. My uncle then becomes pressed too. He wasn't pressed about anything while we were at Disney. And then it's like, we're going to the Star Trek. He like, the Star Trek.
That's how I know you're not a fan, because it was literally Star Wars. Like, Star Wars are two different things, and anybody who was a fan would string you.
Oh, it's Star Wars. Oh, yeah. I'm not a Trekkie or a Warsy person or whatever.
Oh my God. Yeah. So and then they go on the runaway train in Frontierland, and he does admit that he is working on relaxing and enjoying the moment more. So, I mean, this was a fair thing to do because he was able to do that. Some people, they could never do this. Even if, they are that serious, they cannot do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the fact that he was able to like put on the ears and talk and eat snacks and, meet the characters, take pictures. Trust me, I know people, it's married to people, who cannot do this without it.
This is your dream date and you were married to somebody who don't like to do that? So that was miserable for you, right?
Yeah, no, it was like pulling teeth.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, it is. But he says that also being with her, she feels like she could be the one. And I will say this, I enjoyed this date. I actually was shocked at how much I actually enjoyed their date. I thought they did have a little bit of chemistry outside of just talking about their kids. Mm-hmm. So they do sit and talk, and Joan does state that she wasn't sure if he could have fun, and he was, and they enjoyed their time. And Joan said she really wants to be able to bring her grandkids there with somebody. And so she thanks him that she can now picture it. She didn't say with him. She didn't say with somebody. But they do hold hands. Mm-hmm. And then it's nighttime at Disney. The castle is lit up. Joan and Chalk both change Joan into a Cinderella style dress, beautiful in Cinderella blue, and Chalk in a tuxedo, and they get to eat at 21 Royal. Listen, it is an exclusive dining experience in Disneyland. Like,
when was the last time you went to Disney?
I haven't been to Disney in a few years. My kids have been like, we haven't been to Disney. I was like, I know, I've been like doing other things.
I want to go to Disney. Have you been to any other Disneys other than Florida and Cali?
No. So like that's the thing. I've been trying to figure out a way to take them to Disneyland Paris. So I want to take them to England and see my grandmother, and then go to Disneyland Paris while we're there. And then also try to hit, like, there's one in Hong Kong, there's one in Tokyo. So they'll definitely want to do those things. Yep.
I went to downtown Disney last Halloween, actually.
Oh, fun.
With the cast. Oh, the cast of Survivor 45.
Okay.
All there dressed up.
Oh,
it was kind of fun. even though like we didn't like it wasn't Disney, but like being in everything's Disney around you is just kind of fun. Like it's like everybody's Disney right now.
The Disney bubble is like no other, and I tell people all the time. So I sell Disney. I'm a travel agent, if anybody doesn't know, and I sell Disney, and I always recommend it. I recommend Disney cruises. People are like, "Oh, I don't want to go on a Disney cruise." Listen, Disney cruises are 50% of the time booked by adults for just adults because they have great food, high-end food. They have great experiences that you can do. They have adult-only areas where you will never see a kid. And those areas are so high-end, like they are worth it, right? Whereas sometimes when you go on cruises where it's mixed population, they don't necessarily have adult areas, and if they do, it's not necessarily, sometimes it's only adult for a certain time, and it's not necessarily higher end, right? Loved
it. I took a picture in front of Mickey.
Oh, cute.
I was just as a skeleton, but
I see.
So she marvels at how Chalk is sees how their date was everything, and she enjoyed being there with him, and she does ask him about his relationship history. He does say, it is hard for him. He is used to being serious. I guess that is even how he grew up, right? Like he was the person in charge in his family, he said. And then he divorced the mother of his children, and then he met Kathy, who he previously talked to Joan about, and they were together for 9 years, and he intended on spending the rest of his life with her. But she was diagnosed with a brain tumor and died in his arms, basically. And Kathy told him before she died she wanted him. I think he said that she lived 5 months after her diagnosis. But in that time, she did tell him she wanted him to try to find somebody else. And Joan says, they have so much of the same experiences. They have so much in common. And Chalk ITMs, he has dated since Kathy, but this is the first time he's been this open because Joan has had so much because he and Joan have so much in common. They've been through so much of the same things. Chalk does say Joan reminds him of Kathy. He does tell her that. And she says Chalk does make her feel safe. And she tells him so, and she says everything she was hoping to see from him today, she saw from him, and she thanks him, and she gives him the date rose. And so he did do what he was supposed to do for this date.
And he's a Virgo, if Wiki is correct. So Virgo and Capricorn, 2 earth signs.
Yeah.
She'll feel safe for sure. Practical.
Which is her thing. So that's what I'm saying. I like, okay, so we know that Chalk did, we know that's her word, right? So safe and protected, you got Joe. Chalk is so happy. And then they go and watch Disneyland fireworks and they dance in front of the fireworks. I tell you, my dream date, guys. Back at the mansion, Kim and Charles K are fixing the disposal in the sink. So listen, these men are handy.
Yes. Kim's like, not supposed to sound like that.
And so the final group date will be Greg, Dan, Charles K, who we find out Joan has nicknamed CK, Gil, Pascal, Kim, Christopher, Michael, and Jack. And it is the second annual Golden Talent Show. And the judges for this talent show are Jesse and Joan, of course, and comedian Lonnie Love, who is also, I believe, in her 60s. Her boyfriend is also, I think, in his 60s as well. Really? So, yeah.
I know John, her boyfriend. I know he's in his 60s.
Yeah, I think Lonnie's in her 60s.
I think she was in her 50s.
I think she's 61. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, okay.
Whoa. Let me look it up. No, 53.
Yeah. Oh.
Born in 1971.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I'm mixing up with her boyfriend. I don't think they were the same age.
Who's the boyfriend? James Welsh?
Yeah.
He's cutie.
Let's see.
I don't think he's cute, but they seem to work well together.
Mm-hmm. I think he's cute for her.
Oh, okay.
For sure. Born in 1880. I don't have the right one. I'm just kidding. I'll keep looking, but I don't see
so Greg, so we see like they go through and Greg does a comedic set. CK does one of those like break the boards, karate punches Greg in the stomach. Poor Greg. He's been punched twice in 2 Christopher does a yo-yo and says that he a yo-yo sets where he's like doing the yo-yo and he tells Joan he wants to take her around the world. He does around the world with the yo-yo. Very cute.
Yo-yos are underrated. I remember playing with the yo-yo when I was younger, and I was doing some tricks back then.
Back in the day, it was the thing to get a yo-yo and be able to do all that stuff.
And like
the yo-yo and the Rubik's Cube and all that when we were young, it was something. But now
they walk the dog.
Yeah.
I forgot about the yo-yo.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cute, right? Like, who'd even thought about that?
It's now making me think of things if I was ever on one of these shows to do, which would be kind of fun bringing back old school. So did you ever, not doing like double dutch, but getting your skipping rope and making one big one where you tie the ends together and you put them around your legs, and then the other person, like, so there's two people with the strings or whatever, the elastics around their legs, and then you do these things and you jump over and on and make the diamond. And did you ever do that?
No, I didn't do that.
Kind of like cat's cradle that you do here with your hands, but you do it with the with your
feet. I never done.
So like there'd be two people holding the rope, and then one person would be doing all the different tricks with the. Oh,
it sounds fun, but I never
done it.
But it just be like there's just different little things you do, and you'd like crisscross the elastic rope things, and then you like jump out of it, and then you have to jump on the rope, and then anyways, okay.
I definitely seen it. I just never myself done it.
Yeah, if I was going to be on these shows, I'd bring back an old school talent.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Nostalgia. And maybe it would just be jump rope, which is easy because some of those were really fun. I loved like all the jump ropes where you had the little rhyme, like round around the corner and slam on the brakes. Please, like there's so many of those that we used to play, and so like that would also be really fun. Anyways, bringing it back old school. Planning if Jonathan's a bachelor.
Not planning your talent for Jonathan's season.
You need to get some of the girls to help you do double dutch.
Double dutch, I've actually never been good at, but I would practice.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I used to love double dutch. Yeah.
So we see someone juggle what I think was Gil, which they said that they were trying to edit Gil out, but he had a whole section in here. Just like y'all are not doing a good job with editing this.
Yeah. So what exactly happened? He recently had a restraining order against him.
Yes.
And this is confirmed.
Yes.
What's with the vetting?
I don't.
We were talking about that last
episode
when we were discussing it. They don't do a good job, and I was telling Tamika they need to do another vetting, like. When they get ready to fly them out, when people are about to get on the plane, you got to do a whole nother set of vetting. And then you can call them and be like, don't even get on the plane. Some things have come to our attention because I'm sure if you're doing the casting now, right? Like you see their profile, you might do some vetting, but then you might not film till 4 or 5 months later or 6 months later. Things happen. People live life.
I agree with you guys. Every single casting form that I've ever filled out always ask you if you have any pending charges or anything legal that we need to be aware of. They all ask that question. Now, maybe when he filled it out originally, this hadn't happened yet, and so I can understand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like to do it again,
a recheck here, but it's just not a good look because they should have some responsibility in taking care of people and making sure that they're not going to get into these bad situations. And hearing what's going on, like with Devin, and then even hearing stuff about Brandon and Serene, and I'm like Marcus and Joe maybe, and like I'm just like we don't need to see these people. There are many people that have a clean record. I'm not saying that Brandon and
they need to do better. It's like every season is somebody is something, and they just need to do better.
But speaking of Brandon Serene, have you been listening to all the tea about this?
About what?
So I caught some of it. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Brandon, I feel like was trying to clean up his reputation. I feel like he just opened a whole can of worms. Because I mean, to me, I think he was trying to make her look bad, and what he did was make both of them look bad. And I feel
I could see that perspective, but then he's not my favorite person, but Dave Neal had. He was sharing some clips from another podcast from one of the producers from the show that were working with Serene and with Genevieve and her then undercover boyfriend. And there was a lot more stuff that seemingly were going on, and that Serene, she was basically saying both Serene and Brandon were both pretty deplorable. So I want to go back and listen to her whole thing just so I can have like a
but that's what I mean. I saw pieces of Dave Neal's coverage. I did not get to watch the one about the producer, but he did mention it in the first one that I did see, and a little bit about like, the apparently she cheated with the producer's husband or something. Anyway, what I was saying is I feel like what Brendan was trying to do was like correct his reputation, and then all he really did was sullied hers. But guy, you don't look that great either. Like, based on what other people are saying that know you guys, you treated her pretty crappy.
Yeah, he does say that. I don't know if you saw he did another like social media post. Where he was basically like, yeah, I was a shitty boyfriend to her. I didn't speak to her nicely. Correct. I don't, anything that you heard about me, like, I hope that I can change your mind in the future going forward, but I wasn't good to her. So,
I mean, I guess if his point was to make her look bad, I guess he did that.
But the fact that they were in a relationship before going to Paradise, I think all of that, these games, like, is something that I think the producer should stop doing. I think.
Yeah. Oh, him and Serene were already in a relationship?
But we knew this.
I did not know that. No, I didn't.
We speculated.
I speculated that they had met.
Yeah, Michelle even tried to say something and people cussed her out for it. Remember that?
They were already in something for sure.
But we know this is what they all do, and I've said this to people even
I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that though.
I've said this to people about Love Island because they're like, oh well, like they're not still letting people who have relationships come on these shows. I'm like, they don't care. What part of they don't care? Do they know? And they don't care. They just want to get the show done. They don't care if everybody finds love. They care about the drama on the show. They don't care. The case in point, on the reunion for Love Island USA, we did not see anything. They had a whole segment for the winners and their love story, and they took all sorts of things of these people becoming boyfriend and girlfriend, and Janae and Kenny becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. And did it air? We spent an entire, like, close to 30 minutes watching the stupid Andrea vote that they think we cared about. We did not care about.
Right.
That's all they care about. This is what they do. Every single casting producer does this BS. They don't care. What we need them to care more about is, and listen, I've already told you guys, if you are going to sell me a story, make it good and make me like it. But do not cast abusers on my damn shows.
Yeah, it's especially when it's like relationships, like all across the board. You do, I think, should be protecting your contestants and people that are entrusting you to be putting them with people that aren't going to potentially harm them. But I just don't understand why it's not important to them to take care of people. Like they just want this negative press because it's still like, oh, who's this? Like, oh, like is that what they want? They just want people to be talking about the fact that they have people that have restraining orders on their show.
It's ridiculous. It's really,
yeah,
it's really bad. People
double
deserve safety.
Wasn't there a thing about Serene and Olu on Paradise? And again, we don't even know what the thing was because they never showed it. They never. The only thing we know is that Brandon and Serene kept alluding to it, but never actually talked about it. And for all we know is that they just thought that he should know that she was his girlfriend in real life, and that
was very attractive. I remember that man.
Yeah, and that he kept pursuing her, but maybe he didn't know, and that is why he kept pursuing her.
That makes sense. Now, I think we even speculated it at the time, being like, well, they probably came in a relationship, and he thought that he had a chance, and so he was trying to pursue her, like he thought was the point of Paradise, not realizing that they're in a locked-in relationship already before the show started. So, I think that's something that we speculated at the time.
Yeah. And Deborah says, don't you remember Michelle said Nate told her Brandon was dating Serene on her pod?
Yes. No, I didn't listen to it.
Yes. And she got shit for it because she said something and people got mad at her.
Well, they thought that she was just like not letting that man live or whatever, like trying to keep dibs on him.
I'm sick of them doing that though. I mean, I don't like that. Like having people think they have a chance and you already have a plan and something set up.
Right.
I mean, what are you trying to do? Just get TV time and get a free ring? I mean, is that what you going on there to do? Because your man can't afford to buy you a ring?
Yes.
So you want a free Neil Lane ring and some camera time? Because I just don't understand what the point of that is. I don't like that.
But see, I don't even have as much of a problem on it because the way the way Paradise is set up, it is so hard for you to go to Paradise and actually find love in 2 weeks. They want to make you think that it is 3 months, 2 weeks, right? And so at the end of the day, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, right? But I do have a problem when you are casting people who, because to me, Brandon was a love bomber already. Remember, I had a problem with him for Michelle's season.
Right.
I think he came on there for fame. I think he went to Paradise for fame. I think they both probably went on there for fame. But again, this is what I said, and I think I said it to someone else recently. My problem with Bachelor Nation shows is they don't pay these people. So the only thing you can get out of there is the person you came on the show for. If you didn't come on the show for that person, you're screwed. If you came on for thinking it was somebody else, Jen season, you're screwed. And then
I mean, I know we're talking about the Golden Bachelor, but I just need to get this one little bit out about Jen season. Now, I also didn't particularly enjoy that season. Maybe it was the men weren't that great or whatnot. But I just remember I was kind of upset with how Jen had handled the situation with Maria saying that she was given the role as the Bachelorette, but she declined it. And the rumor had it that Kelsey also had declined the offer as well.
Not Kelsey.
Sorry. What's her name? Daisy. Sorry. And Jen was then saying like that's completely untrue and kind of discrediting Maria, being like it was always me, whatever. And so I understand like how like it wouldn't feel great thinking that you weren't first choice or whatever from the producers, but the fact that all the men also it just kind of reiterated the fact that it might have actually been true that Maria was the person that was originally supposed to be the Bachelorette, and then Jen season now has a bunch of men who thought it was going to be Maria or Daisy, so they set her up to fail, I think is really like it really sucks. And that she was supporting this show, being like, no, like they wanted it to be me, and like that was
they might have absolutely told her that too. Like they might have, because we all know, even Rachel Lindsay said they put them in a pool, right? So they put a pool together of these are the potential bachelorettes, and then they greenlight who they greenlight. They might have told her, no, you were our front runner. We just wasn't sure, after the season, watching Daisy go through it, if she wanted the show. So we would have had to try to, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? They probably told her that Maria was never a thought process in the head. And we know that's not true.
To make her feel good about the taking on the role.
Right.
And it didn't really work for her.
Deborah says, I saw Rachel Lindsay saying casting these people with records and that they go off to the fantasy is a problem, and never thought about that. Privacy, yes, that's what I'm saying. There's too many ways for these people to take advantage for you to sit there and cast people who are not vetted, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Planning shit is killing BAP, Avon and Kylie, Mercedes and Tyler. These are the I listen. I think if it was a longer show, yes, absolutely don't cast people who obviously have existing relationship. Brandon and Piper, same thing. Literally so much drama for no reason, but these people are not casting for love, they're casting for drama. So if some people, they don't like it when we had one season that was like what, eight rings got handed out, and people said that was like one of the most boring seasons. Remember that?
I don't even remember. So
yeah. So at the end of the day, it's like I think Bachelorette also has to like figure out, what do you want? Do you want to watch love? Do you want to watch drama? Or you want to watch both?
I want to watch love on a love show.
Same.
It's like we got it on Love Island, and
we got love and drama.
Look at how much it worked.
And none of those people knew each other.
They did not know each
other. The one couple we all were like, nah about. We were right.
We were right.
We were bang on for all of the couples. Like, and
that was the one person who had already been on a reality show. That was the one person who had already been on a reality show, so he could have really just been there for fame. Like, whereas the girl came on there for love. Like, she really.
You think Nicole came on there for love?
Oh, I thought we were talking about Aaron and
no, we're talking about Nicole and Kendall. I'm talking about Nicole and Kendall.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Nicole and Kendall. We were correct that they were not.
I'm talking about top four. Listen, they didn't make the finals. I don't care.
Okay.
If they didn't make the finals, I don't care. I'm talking about the final four. I'm talking about Nicole and Kendall. They were the only couples we were like, nah.
Absolutely.
They did not know enough about each other. He is not asking.
He's disingenuous, and I stand by that.
Both of them. Nothing that they were doing was to take anything on the outside. They had no foundation. All the other three couples did.
I love the other three couples so much.
Me too. And whenever Kendall, you notice that he's with the guys, like, because I don't know, Janae still kind of likes him, but Serena don't miss me.
He follows Serena. Serena doesn't follow him. He was not invited to her birthday party. She does not. No.
I didn't know he was invited to the birthday party. That's
no. I mean, Kenny was.
Cordell probably had to tell him. I wonder if he even asked. Cordell probably was like, "It's Serena's thing."
He should know.
No. I wonder if he asked. No, I'm just saying. I wonder if he asked. I mean, I know Cordell would have had to tell him straight up, because he's not gonna do anything to upset Serena. So he would have had to tell him straight up, like, listen, she just is her thing, and you know what I'm saying. I'm just following what she would want. I wonder how if Kendall asked, because he's so
needs to be
fame hungry that he knew it would be the spot to be, and I'm just thinking that he would want to ask to be there. So I'm
sure he asked. I'm sure he was like, come on, you don't think that she could just like let it go one time?
She's very clear. You know when a man's friend is not your friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is Kendall. That is Kendall. So like we can get genuine love, and I do give the fact that Love Island is a certain amount of weeks show.
Right.
Like,
it's a lot easier to build a connection because you have the time.
Right. Which on the flip side, I've been very clear, like with Mimi and Josh, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. They're still dating from what we know. Somebody saw them recently, still out dating. They're just not showing their relationship.
Well, I just showed you that Josh was hanging out at least with, I think it was Cordell. And so
he was in Bermuda with them at that
thing. He went on a brand trip with
Serena and Cordell and them. It was like a they called it a family reunion something. It was like topicals or something. Family reunion in Bermuda. So he was there, yes, with them. And then the guys were doing their own thing with their little dance video. It was so cute. I was like, look at all those cute black boys. Black boy joy. Yes.
So they were in Serena's TikTok asking, where's Mimi? And it was like ridiculous. And Serena said, Mimi is booked and busy. Like, we all have stuff going on. Give her some grace. Now we find out Mimi was in Bath to launch a jewelry line that she's going to have one of the biggest jewelers in the UK, Abbott Lion, her own jewelry line.
That's amazing.
Which she was supposed to stop that to go on a brand trip with her, whoever she's dating, and the couple.
I feel like Josh wouldn't have gone on that trip if they weren't together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I feel like the reason why he's kind of connected with them is because they're black winning couples.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So I just don't think that he would go on the trip. So that's anyways.
Well,
that was
some of the other people there were single though, right? Some of the other people were there.
There was a couple couples, and then there was a couple of single people, but not they're some of them are not single. They just was there by themselves, like Josh. So like Cleopatra was there. She is not single. She has a boyfriend, but she was there by herself on the trip.
Her and Serena seemed to have clicked. I went on to, I didn't know who she was, but I saw her with Serena and I clicked on it and I went on her profile and I was like, oh, okay. And I was listening to some of her videos. I didn't know who she was, but
that's a whole other story. I can tell you who she was. But yeah, so she they are dating, and I said if they work, great. If they don't work, I understand.
They dated long enough to be a success in my eyes.
Yeah, they were together for 2 weeks in the villa before they came on the outside. Right. They deserve all the grace in the world. People that we know have won broke up way earlier than this. Amber and the other guy, and Jesse and Sammy, or Jess and Sammy, and won the show. And nobody gave Amber.
Amber and Greg. Amber
and Greg. And
they were together for longer than that.
Were they?
I thought they were together for a little bit and then they broke up. I think that they did it for a little bit. For like a month. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I can't remember.
Yeah. So they nobody gave them shit. They got to win the way they won, and nobody gave them shit. There's no reason Mimi and Josh should get shit. But on the so there is the thing with Love Island is there's time, right? And so when they don't have time, I will still give them grace because sometimes it's not enough time to build a relationship. 2 weeks and you're cycling people in and out of BIP. It's hard to build a relationship unless you do what me and Chantel keep telling you to do, is do it Love Island style and throw them all in the freaking palapa and make them figure out who they like and then start eliminating from there.
Right.
And then maybe bring some people in.
I would watch.
I'd watch.
Absolutely.
So we do see Michael does a poem about romance. Jack does sock puppets. Pascal did a haircut so quickly that
he's like, let me tell you why I own this salon. Let me tell you why I'm the best. Let me tell you why this costs $175. Let me show you what I do.
Captain Kim sings to Joan. Joan in the audience loved it. And then we see Dan. And Dan gets up and he's nervous, and they cut to commercial and then they come back and he's about to do a ribbon dance. And he said, I learned it in a few minutes this morning, but y'all are going to love it. And she said she could tell he was nervous. And she's like, she sees him shaking and she realized, oh, he has a tremor. But he does do this ribbon dance. He does a really good job with it, even with the tremor. And he was very vulnerable, and he was making little bits of jokes in between it. And he's like, listen, everybody has something. You just have to own it and embrace it and have fun. And even Christopher remarks about how vulnerable it was of him to do that. And so Dan does win this talent show, and I mean, well deserved in my opinion.
Yep.
Kim was a little disappointed though.
He was. So they do get to go on a 1-on-1, and we do see Captain Kim ITM how sad he was that he wants to be seen more than just the Navy shipman that he is, and that he would have liked 1-on-1 time with Joan. So Joan and Dan sit down to dinner. They've changed. It's on a stage with like a London background scene behind them, like London fog, and it was kind of pretty. It was very pretty considering. And so they're holding hands, and he asks, "Can she still feel the tremors?" And she says no, and she says she can't. And they're like, "Then who cares?" And they kiss. I thought that was cute.
That was cute.
What you were saying about Pascal and the haircut, I was like, oh, I bet she's a Virgo too. One of making everything perfect, and with the ironing and like having his closet organized, and lo and behold,
he is a Virgo.
Man, Virgo, and he's at the end of Virgo. So the 21st, which means he probably has his Mercury in Libra, which also makes sense about aesthetics. So.
Yeah,
I love when astrology makes sense.
So the men return to the mansion. They do talk about how disappointed they are when the other men ask, "Where's Dan?" And they're happy for Dan, but they're very disappointed, which is should be very fair to all of them. So they go back to the date, and Dan talks about how his body started to fail him, and his doctor actually gave him only 6 months to live. So he retired from his job, and he focused on his health, and now he's much better. He's only left with diabetes, which, hell, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
And he has been very cautious about dating because he is very open with women on what's happened to him, but he knows that there's a possibility they don't want to be dealing with this in their age. And Joan says she doesn't feel that way, and as life goes on, they'll all have to deal with something. Liberty says, but if it's a type 2 diabetes, it can be cured now. Oh, good to know. I didn't know that was a possibility. Type 2 diabetes can be avoided and now cured.
Wait, type 2 is the one, it's not one that you're born
not
with.
Not the used one, right? Yeah. So unless it's the one he was born with, I'm not sure. He didn't say.
It's one that you're born with. Well, I don't know if there's different stages, but I know a couple people that it actually is pretty challenging, like pretty dangerous. So
yeah,
hopefully it's type 2. It's a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, so I do know someone who she had battled with it her entire life, and she did die of other complications because she had diabetes, and she had lost her kidneys, and she had just had a complication with that after she had a transplant, and it failed. And it was sad because she was in her 40s, and she'd just gotten engaged, and she was looking forward to her wedding. So it was sad. It was unexpected because it just, didn't expect it to happen to her, even though she'd been battling with it for her entire life. But it's a difficult disorder. And it can't be cured. It can be very devastating. So we just see that he does get the group date rose, and then violins start playing above, and they dance. And Joan remarks that Dan said to her while they were dancing that they fit well together. And she says that she felt safe in his arms.
Aww.
Tomorrow, when she sees him with all the other men, she will see him very differently. Listen, I like that. I like that entire.
I see you different now. I see you different now, Dan.
Who was that again? Dan. I want to just
Dan.
Dan. Mm-hmm.
I just need to remember what he looks like. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's cute.
He is. So the next day, the men have a bit of a barbecue, and Christopher is on the grill. Jack is being a bit territorial about Christopher being on the grill and him not being on the grill.
You know how men are about the grill. Don't come over here with that. This is how I grill. Don't put no sauce on mine. No. Okay. I'm not putting no sauce on.
Okay. Your burger's already cooked. Like, if you need to know. I was like, okay, Jack, but some people don't like to see their burger pink. I am one of those people. Like, no. So
I think
they are waiting.
He likes it still alive.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I do like a good tartare, but I also like my burger cooked through, not burnt, but cooked.
I like it medium well.
Yeah, I like my hot dogs burnt. Those are good.
My mama loves a burnt hot dog.
Yeah,
and my
so we just sit there waiting on Joan, and Joan arrives, and she states she wants to talk to all the guys. So again, we just getting scenes of her just boom, 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 talking to all the guys. And so I don't feel like there were many standouts in these conversations. We do hear her say that she talks about every Sunday having dinner with her family, and she loves this because it's going to help them get to know each other better. And she also loves that she normally would be in the kitchen cooking all day for at least 4 hours, but today she does not have to do that because the men are on the grill, so she can take the time to talk to all of them. So Joan and Jordan talk, and she says he looks athletic. And he says, I do. And she said, yes. And he's like, well, I did wrestle. And she's like, okay. Like, I think she either said like her son wrestled, but he said his nephew, because we know he has all girls, that his nephews wrestled, are wrestlers in college, in high school and college. And they talk about their family, which is something that they continue to bond on. And he does go back to the guys and tells them that, like, it was nervous. It was a little bit nervous, but, they're building up, and this was like one layer of the onion peeled. I do like Jordan. I am not seeing it with Jordan and Joan yet.
No, right. Not yet. Maybe.
I do think he could be a dark horse. I will say that.
He could be a dark horse. And I also think Kim could be a dark horse because Kim gives off safe to me. So if she starts having a one-on-one with Kim and spending more time, I feel like she gonna feel safe with him. He gives off safe with me.
Yeah.
You know.
Pascal, Joan and Jack talk, and they barely talk. They talk about grandkids and kids, and barely, and then he goes and hits the pool. He's like, I had my conversation with Joan. Back to the pool. I was like, oh, Jackie going Jackie going home. Pascal shows her his bedroom, and they talk about the bunk beds, and he shows her the closet. They talked about when she slept there. That was very fun. And then they kind of blow through some of the guys. I didn't really get the conversation. Dr. Guy, who we know she's very attracted to. I think she's been very attracted to Dr. Guy since last episode. Keith, who we know she gave her first impression rose to. I think she's attracted to him. Then Gil, who was supposedly supposed to be mostly cut out of the show, talks to her about his wife and being a widow, and feels like it's face about finding new love. And I'm like, okay, but you're supposed to not be on the show anymore. And then Jack cannonballs into the pool, and then Joan and Gary talk. And Gary's another one. I feel like he fits the Ellen spot in this show, where I think they're going to continue to have a bit of chemistry. But I agree with you. I don't think she's a swirler, and I don't think he will get far.
Yeah, that's who she calls Goldie.
Yes, yeah, that's who she calls Goldie. Tina Turner's godson.
Yeah, she gave him that picture of them at the prom, and that was a cute moment. But yeah, there's no chemistry.
It's the same. It's the same MO with Gary and Ellen, like the picture thing, and he was just so like. He says he's looking for a wife. He does not want a girlfriend. He wants someone to spend the rest of his days with. And her giving the photo to him meant so much to him. He ITMs and he tears up. And it was such a beautiful moment. And I'm just like, Joan is not your person.
No, I think he knows that. But
what about him and
Sandra?
Oh my goodness, the lady who missed her daughter's wedding.
Sandra.
Maybe
she's about 10 years older than him.
He don't care.
I mean, I'd go on a date. Not me, but if I were them, they should go on
hello.
Yeah. Captain Kim shows his family's photos and talks about his wife that passed away and how his wife left a letter for his grandchild, Olivia. Ooh. And that now she is, because she died when she was like 17 months, and now she's like 8 or 9, and she can finally read the letter, and that he does say that he feels like Joan and him have this understanding that they are still in love with their spouses, but now that time has passed and they have passed, that they can still find love. And I did like this. I do like Captain Kim. I just need to see more in order for me to get on board the Kim train.
Yeah, I do like him now.
And then
Mark
comes on the scene, and we see the scene from the beginning where first he's talking about how he has been very selective on dating. But with Joan, he talks about his travels and an army, and it decides to quiz Joan on her Dutch. And so he brings out a few phrases, and one of those phrases is, "Will you kiss me?" And she does, and they kiss multiple times. Listen, Mark could have chemistry with a garbage can, I think.
Yeah, the man's attractive. The man's attractive.
And handsome and sweet, it feels like, and down to earth. I don't know if Joan is his person, but if he becomes a bachelor, I get it. I will say that.
Yeah,
I will.
Absolutely. Me too.
And so nighttime falls on the bachelor mansion, and the men get ready for the rose ceremony. Mark feels confident about his connection with Joan, and I get it. Like, I do think that right now they have something. Right. I don't think it'll go anywhere, but we will see. Never know. Charles Ed says he wants to continue the journey, but it's up to Joan because Charles is not in charge.
I thought that was cute.
Oh, it's so cute. And then Joan arrives in a beautiful green dress with a cape and a brooch and a side pony. I was like, yes, Joan.
She looks good. Again, when she comes for the cocktail party, she be looking good. That's why I was disappointed in that prom look. Because I know you can give the people what they want. Yeah. And this wasn't it. But she looked good. And holding that red rose against that green, it was so pretty. It was so pretty.
So to remind everybody, already with roses, Jonathan, Chalk, and Dan. And so called out were Mark, Gary or Goldie, Pascal, Jordan, CK, Charles K, Keith, Gil, unfortunately he makes it through again, Charles L, Kim, Greg, and finally Dr. Guy. And going home are Bob, who I'll miss. He was a sweetheart.
Sweet.
Jack, but I definitely think Bob was friendship vibes. Jack, same thing. Jack is the life of the party, but he was not her person. Christopher was a catch. He would still be there if it was my choice. And Michael, who seems like a great guy. I saw nothing with that.
Right.
Nothing. He saw stuff. I saw nothing. And so that was the end of the episode. So who are your guys' standouts, do you think, so far in the men?
I mean, obviously, I really like Pascal. I feel like he's bringing some entertainment. Mm-hmm. Kelsey's dad, Mark, is great. I think that Chalk I think he did it really well. I think their connection is growing a bit more than other people. Mm-hmm. And for my own liking, I like, was it Jonathan?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to leave you two now because I got to get ready for another live. So when you're done listening to these two ladies and you want to talk about Survivor, I'm going to be going live in about 5 with my sister and dad talking about this most recent episode. So I just need to do a little quick switcheroo. But it was great chatting about this episode with you two.
Okay, I'll come over there to see what you all have to say about TK later.
Oh boy. Okay. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye. So yes, and if you want to head over to Reality Realness with 3 S's for Chantel's coverage of Survivor. If you're a Survivor fan, while we wrap up here, she'll be starting in a few minutes. So who are your standouts, Miss T Joy?
Well, I like Kim, Captain Kim. I also like Guy, the Dr. Guy. I like that I like Jonathan, but I just don't feel like it's gonna work. I do think that her and Chalk are starting to build something. He wouldn't have been my choice for her, but I see that they are building something. And who else do I like? And I do like Kelsey's dad, Mark. I do like him.
Okay. So for me, I definitely see it with Chalk. Dan surprised me this episode. So I can see it. Mark, I definitely I see for Mark, period. Right. I don't know if it will go anywhere, but I see it for Mark, period. Pascal, I think, also could be a dark horse.
That is very true.
So Jordan, I have as a dark horse. Keith, we know that she liked him. We'll see if it fizzles or keeps going once they get some more one-on-one time. And I agree with you, Dr. Guy. I'm not sure about Captain Kim yet. I'm not. I need to see more. And Dabu agrees. Like, there's too many on par. Calling Final Four is tough. Yeah, usually we are a lot more clearer. At least with one or two of them, I think we're still getting. And I feel like we got a lot more conversations with everybody. Didn't have to see all of them, but we saw a lot of conversations that I'm still not seeing yet. So either they're cloaking who she has like the most chemistry with and ends up like towards the end. Or again, it's possible, she's a slow burn, and
I think she definitely is a slow burn,
right? And we're not going to see it yet, right? So it'll take her time to build, and then bam, we're going to see it. So
that we as earth signs are slow burns. Like we just got to observe you a little bit, talk to you a little bit. I mean, it's just kind of hard for us. I mean, even if we think we have love at first sight, we can talk ourselves out of that. Like, yeah, he is fine. But let me watch him now. Yes. I don't know about it. So I think she pretty much is a slow burn. So I think it's going to take us I think next episode we'll start to see a little clearer.
Yeah. I agree with that. I never thought I was as much of a slow burn until recently, because I will sit there and like on these dating apps and drop you an RB. I'm like, one red flag.
Right. Me too.
That's it. I was like, nope, that's it.
So I'm even more of an earth sign now, like more practical. Yeah. So I'm like, that is not gonna work. Let's be real. That don't even make sense. If I can't make it make sense in like 2 days, no, I can't. It's not making sense.
We're just, it's not gonna work. Right? So, but yeah, so I definitely understand that. So I'm excited. I'm still excited. I'm still here.
I'm excited too.
I like it so far.
Absolutely. I do too. So I do too. I like Joan. When she was talking about fun, that's just what I didn't get, because I was like, I hope she don't come across as fun.
No,
maybe she's trying to get somebody the opposite to bring the fun out of her. Because I was like,
possibly
fun not what you giving. So
that's possible. Because I told you I had to I'm a little more practical. I always seem to end up finding men who make me laugh and are jovial and fun. And I had to knock it down, because then when I have serious things that happen, those people aren't necessarily the people I could go to for that. And that is kind of, as you get older, that's kind of what you need. So like safety and security is also a thing, right? So yeah, I definitely get that. You want that person to be the other side to you, to bring out those traits that you have, but you don't necessarily get to utilize in your everyday relationship. So you want that in your personal, romantic relationship, right? So that is where we are. All right, Miss T Joy, you let the people know where they can find you.
At Miss T Joy on all social media platforms.
Yes, and as always, you can follow me on Entertainment in Color everywhere. I'm back on Twitter. I could not get my Twitter account back. I need to harass those people so I can hopefully get my own account back, because I am slowly rebuilding back my backup account. That is now my main account until I can get my other account back. But on Twitter, I am Entertainment in Cole Media. So I've been tweeting. I've been watching The Circle. They made me mad. I'm just
I haven't been watching that. I have to get caught up on Traders Canada. I haven't watched that.
So Traders Canada as well. I'm like I said, I might do some TikToks to chat about those shows. But right now, this is what we're doing. And then Love is Blind hits midweek this week. I'm excited for that. I might cover that if I can get the time and to do that.
I think doesn't it come on October 7th, which would be next week?
No, I have October 2nd, 2.
Oh, I thought it was October 7th.
Love is Blind season 7, October 2nd. And it is in Washington, D.C.
I'm excited about that. Right up the road from me. Okay.
So I had a theory that this might be our most successful season possible. That's my theory right now, because there's a lot more older people. There's a lot more people of color. I've heard that people have said that people in the dating scene of DC doesn't know any of these people, so they're people who definitely came out of the woodwork. I think some of them might be from the DMV area, not necessarily DC area, but usually with DC,
why did you just try to say that in the accent of the DMV area? You just said it like that. That's how they say it up there instead of saying area.
But if you ever watch Ready to Love, that they always say, "Oh, we're in the DC," and they're literally taking
Northern Virginia or Maryland.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't stay in the city. Yeah, in DC. Yeah, absolutely.
Dabu says, "Don't hate the season. I'm more Chantel with the excitement. Still gonna watch, though. I kind of wish they do 40. Listen, you and us both.
I wish they would do 35 to 50.
Yes, please, absolutely. And thank you. We would apply." So yes, so we follow me everywhere. You might catch me doing some wrap up some other shows on my TikToks if I can find the time. Otherwise, we'll be back here hopefully next Sunday with The Bachelorette. But make sure you follow me on social media and you'll find out for sure where we'll be. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.